What does it mean to have power? Really? What does it mean? Does it mean to be able to enforce your will over other people's will? Crush them under your feet? Make them feel bad if you wanted to? Or are you happy? Whatever my will is, whatever my whim. To have immunity? Say, I get to do whatever I want. I make the rules and I break them as I please. The king's will is law. And God help you should your will be opposed to him the next day, even if it was joined to his the day before. To some degree, yes, that is what power means. Does that make you great? I decide we're going to stack brick upon brick upon brick until I have a giant pyramid, and then you're going to put my embalmed corpse, because I can't stand the thought of myself rotting underneath it. You may call me Pharaoh the Great. How many lives does it take to build my tomb? And the pyramids, as long as they have lasted, are not eternal. They won't be around forever. Does that make you great? The apostles, God bless them, what's going on? They're coming back from Caesarea Philippi. Caesarea Philippi is this great Gentile pagan temple city. Jesus took them out there to show them what they would be going up against. Send you out like sheep among the wolves. You're fishermen. Some of you are illiterate. One or two of you probably were insurgents. But you were the weaker power, not the stronger, not the powerful. And I'm not just going to have you trying to take over the nation of Israel once more. I'm pitting you against the world and all its traditions since the fall, all its pretend grandeur, all its fake gods, and the power of evil and Satan. And he points to one fisherman, the loudmouth, the most brash, in some ways the weakest. And he says, and upon you I'll build my church. And they believe him. They've seen the miracles. They know this guy can take it all down. They don't understand how yet. Peter demonstrates his ignorance. He gets rebuked. They start walking back. That's where this picks up. They're something like 50, 60 miles down the road. They're walking on foot. What do you talk about once the Messiah has basically declared you're taking down the world? I must be pretty good. Roll in this guy's company. Yeah, all right. I'm probably better than you, John. You're only 18. You don't know much. You better listen to me. Simon's probably the only one who swung a sword. And obviously Simon Peter never swung a sword. He only is able to hack off a guy's ear in the dark. He's a pretty bad fighter. But the zealot probably thinks pretty highly of himself. Judas is very good with calculation. What is he compared to Matthew? Back and forth, back and forth. The humility of God, the patience the divine has with us as they walk 60 miles back to Capernaum, and Jesus Christ can hear it in the background. He doesn't stop it. They could stop at any time. They could remember all the stuff he's been teaching them. The fact that he ran off when the crowd tried to make him king. And he even gives them this warning shot. He turns around and he says, look, guys, remember that thing I just said not 20 miles away? They're going to kill me. and then I'm going to come back to life. And they step back from that. I'm sure they were quiet for a minute. I don't want to talk about that. They don't understand it. You are scared of what you don't understand. And what do? You can do a couple of things. But the most common one is you go back to what you're familiar with. I understand me. I think I understand me. I don't really. But I can lie to myself a lot easier that way. Let's talk about how good I am. Let's talk about the great things that are coming. Not that thing he keeps wanting me to focus on. And he waits 60 miles down that road. Jesus Christ, unlimited and ultimate power. But it's not ungoverned. It's the order that governs the atom, that holds it together, not that which drives it apart and destroys. And God's timing is perfect. Your ego swells up like a balloon, and then he pricks it with the tiniest needle, and pop! And he waits till he's back in the house, and then he sits down. The teacher always sits in ancient Israel when he teaches. It's the sign of authority. Oftentimes, the bishops in the Middle Ages would preach sitting. And Jesus Christ sits down, and here comes the needle. They don't even see it coming. He says, "What were you talking about?" He knows what they were talking about. When God asks the question, it's not because he doesn't know. It's because he wants you to pay attention to something. That's why he oftentimes lets us sin and sin and sin, so that he can truly get to the heart of us and humble us. Sometimes, it could be one thing to say, "Oh, I saw that coming, so I saved myself." He says, "No. See how much you can do without me, because it's nothing." And here they've puffed themselves up. They've made themselves great in their own esteem, fishermen and carpenters and terrorists. And one sentence flattens the playing field. All gentleness, all humility. Do you know what meekness means? Meekness means not to be a doormat. We get this stupid idea in our heads that to be meek means I need to be stepped on. I can't stand up for what's right. I just do whatever I'm told. I shuffle around and I cave into my chest and I get real small. Meekness comes from the Greek word that the Greeks would apply to their war horses. You know what you do with a war horse? You drive through a shield wall and spikes and swords. That horse has to be incredibly strong and brave. And the key is it can't be uncontrolled. It has immense power, but it can't go where it wills. Meekness means it goes exactly where it's directed. Another way to sort of translate it is one who has a sword but keeps his sword sheathed. You have the strength to decimate and destroy. Oh, the potential of the human being, for good or for evil. History is replete with demonstrations. What will you do with your strength and power? A man can raise up a family, or he can become a destroyer of worlds. What were you talking about on the way? The perfect call of contrition. Go back to the first reading. We don't like it. We don't like to be humble. We don't like to be meek, truly meek. I've got power, and I'm broken. I'll fix myself. And let anyone who tells me he's broken, I'll break him. I'll show him. Can a broken man break things? In fact, that's all he can do. Hurt people when they try to heal themselves. It's fascinating. You look at the Book of Wisdom, probably written about 200 BC. That prophecy is so clearly about Jesus Christ encountering the Pharisees, about good being made manifest in the person of Jesus Christ, and this confrontation with the twistedness and corruption and the evil that the devil had managed to slide into God's own project. And the mindset of those monsters who were truly men but allowed themselves to be corroded because they didn't want to face their own pain and weakness. It's all of us. And the wisdom literature presents us a mirror. Wisdom is sometimes, by the ancients, it was symbolized as a woman gazing into a mirror. Not out of vanity, but in an attempt to understand. The things I cannot see, I use the instruments to present to myself. You can't see your own face. You need something to reflect it. And you will see the good, and you will see the bad, if you're truly trying to be wise. And the letter of St. James so perfectly mimics wisdom literature. Wisdom is one of my favorite virtues. I'm a fan of them all, praise God. But wisdom is that shortcut to God. Doesn't require study. He speaks a simple sentence and you get the whole concept. What were you talking about on the road? And in the letter of St. James, what does he say? You guys are so filled with your own passion, with your own drive, with your own fire, and you don't channel it. You don't discipline it. To some degree, you can't. You need the Savior to bridle those passions, to temper the flesh. And He'll give you every opportunity for that. But you must conform your will to His. You must be meek. That will mean suffering. Yes, you have strength, but that isn't strength to just go charging all over the battlefield and never hit the shield wall. Look at how strong I am. Look at how strong I am. Fight's over there. Yeah, I know. Looks kind of rough. You must be at peace with yourself. If you wish to win a war outside of yourself, you must first have won the war within. And you're not strong enough for that. You need the lion and the lamb to be within you. You need wisdom incarnate, to incarnate Himself within your very flesh. That's why you come here. Those passions, there is an answer. Fire is beautiful, it's dangerous. It gets out of control. You have to contain it. That's what James is talking about. Utilize the wisdom he gives you. Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said to them, whoever receives one child, as this in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me. You encounter wisdom, you encounter ultimate goodness. He calls you to be meek. He calls you to be gentle. How do you handle a baby? Child is placed in your arms, so fragile, so powerless, so trusting, doesn't have an option. And if you're out of control, if you're a bad man, you drop the kid. You want nothing to do with him. Stay away from him. You fly into a rage, it's so easy to break that which is most delicate, and that which is most delicate is most precious. There was a seer who once had a vision of God holding what looked like a tiny little oriental egg in his hand. Beautiful, indescribably intricate, delicate, gossamer almost, as if the very breath you would breathe would blow it away. And the seer knew that that was the universe. And the seer asked, "How can this be?" And the voice of God answered the seer, "It is because I love it." Tiny child. Beauty beyond description. Proud, arrogant men. Humbled. And Jesus Christ says, "That's me." And oh, how it is him. The Eucharist. He literally waits for me to pick him up. I can literally drop him on the ground. He won't stop it. The ultimate power demonstrates ultimate humility. He says, "Can you be like me? Can you welcome me as you would welcome a little child?" What tenderness we are to receive the God-man with. Because he loves us. Because he wants us to tap into that true potential, which it is to be a spiritual being. He says, here's the test. Don't grasp at forbidden fruit. Receive me so gently, so delicately, so lovingly. I come to you like a little child, like a baby. It's him. It's him. And he loves you all so very much. What will you do with all the strength and power he's given you? And he's given you a lot, brothers and sisters. There is no doubt in my mind. Whether you be rich or poor, strong or weak, you're humans. Immortality is a part of your nature. And God makes himself tiny and humble. How do you receive a child? Don't be afraid. Let the peace of God cool those wars that boil in your blood and in your heart. And I know it's hard. God knows I know. But give him this hour, and he will give you eternity. God bless you this morning.